sounds good. Everything about it sounds good. It's all good. Sometimes. Sometimes it stinks. I grew up saying that. It's all good. Like, really? Come on. Sometimes. Sometimes it's all good. But then I'm all up in my feelings too, like I'm attached to my feelings when it's all good. Anywho, so I'm sitting there earlier this week and I'm like waiting for life to press in on me, as I do every week, waiting for I sit there and what I do is I go sit on my back porch within a day or two after Sunday, and I say, what's the gift this week? What can we celebrate together as we talk about life and love and the pursuit of liberation and things like that? And I just kind of sit there, I do a little bit of reading, and then I sit there, and sometimes something comes and sometimes it doesn't. But this week it was this clear, crystal clear, like bell of ringing that it said, and first of all, what it does to me is speak to me personally, which I'm grateful for. And it says, Charles, you are not alone. And I'm like, okay, is that what we should talk about on Sunday too? And then life presses in and it says yes. And so I don't normally hear like voices ringing and, like burning bushes and things like that, right? It'd be great if we did. Who would like more burning bushes in their lives? You know what I mean? Like, go there. This is exactly where you're supposed to go, and these are the lottery numbers, right? I hope I pray a little bit harder. I'll just pray a little bit harder, and the answers will come. And the harder I pray, the less I get answers. So I'm grateful to just be in the grace of it all. And it was, you're not alone. And so then I just say, do you want me to present that? And I don't even know who I'm asking or what I'm asking, but the way I know God is harmony. That's my name for God nowadays, is harmony. I seek the expression of freedom, and I know God as harmony. And so I guess I kind of go, all right, harmony, should we talk about you are not alone? And the answer was yes. So we're talking about you are not alone. And what I want you to know right off the bat is that you are not alone. And you can look around the room and see you're not alone, right? We're in community. We're here doing this thing. You're not alone. But what I'm also profoundly aware of is that in the life experience, sometimes we feel profoundly alone. Profoundly alone. And so I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, you are not alone. Like, I get it. I get it from a metaphysical consciousness standpoint of it's all good, right? Of being on my back porch and the sun's out and fall's starting to shift. And by the way, the first moment of fall was at 6:44 a.m. this morning. The first minute of fall. Did you feel it? On our street, hopefully, this would be the first test. Hopefully you can remind me what I was just talking about, because I want to digress for a moment about fall. We have these beautiful trees on our street. Yeah? Anybody have trees around their home? And they're just starting to turn. And there's something I can feel it now just talking about it. Being in that, I got to tell you guys, this is not very profound of me to say, but I've been waiting all summer for fall. Fall in this area is spectacular. And then I look at my weather app and it says 75 and sunny all the way down. And I'm like, yes. Because coming from where I come from, 90 here feels different than 90 in other places. 75 here feels different than 75 in other places, And I lived in Palm Springs for a while, and that's hot. 115 is a lot hotter than 100. It's just hot, but I'm telling you, 90 here is hot. And so 75 is more like 82. I've got my chart at home. Just kidding. I've got it all. So anyway, the first moment of fall was this morning, and part of it too is that my daughter loves Halloween. She loves this time. She wakes up in the morning sometimes and she goes, Dad, is it going to be cloudy today? Right? She wants this like cloud cover, cool, kind of like cozy experience, and fall represents that. I mean, I'm way digressing now, aren't I, gang? But anyway, I'm getting a kick out of myself. So hopefully you're getting a kick out of me, getting a kick out of myself. Now what was I going to say? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, not alone. Yeah, back to that. You're not alone. All right, let's go way back. Let's quit the digression. So sometimes in life we feel profoundly alone. There have been times in life when I felt profoundly alone. And so from a consciousness standpoint, as I'm sitting out on my porch and feeling at peace and feeling, that's what I was, wasn't I? Feeling the kind of the kiss of fall coming and seeing the trees change. I can be in heaven right there. I'm not affected by anything. I'm not affected by anything negative, let me say. I am affected by how beautiful and magnificent it is to sit on our back porch and be under the trees and feel the crispness of the air. There's something magical about that. There's something beautiful about that. And so I can be kissed by the presence in that moment and feel harmony. I can feel my at oneness, my at one-ment with the spirit and with life. And in that moment, I get this sense of, okay, the message is you are not alone, but I'm always feeling now more so than ever in touch with my humanity. Because what good is it to explore only spiritual things if we can't embrace our humanity? The spiritual path and spiritual understanding is somehow meant to be not necessarily an antidote, but an aid in walking this human existence. Not to get away from it by exploring our spiritual nature, not to get away from humanity, not to deny our humanity, not to deny the times that we're alone or the times when we're in pain, but to somehow get to a point where I can appreciate even the darkness, when I can appreciate even the profound loneliness within this idea that I am not alone. And so I'm here to share with myself and with you this morning that you are not alone. And within that, there are times of profound loneliness. You ever felt that? I mean, I know you have. Profound loneliness. You don't know up from down, left from right. You don't think anybody's going to understand my particular plight or what I'm going through, right? But just go talk to somebody. They're not going to understand. This is my thing, and then we get kind of narcissistic about our pain. I get like mine is more important than anybody else's. My loneliness is a particularly unique kind of loneliness that you can't possibly understand, right? It's mine. And so we have to begin to understand that, number one, there isn't a human emotion that's been experienced that is unique to that person experiencing that human emotion. We've experienced all of them at this point. So step one is to lean into the understanding or the idea that whatever I'm feeling has been felt before. I work with these teens every week now. And one of the things I tell them, and may have shared this with you before, is that you're special and not special all at the same time. You're special and not special all at the same time. But they come up and there's something so fantastic happening in their life, and there's something so intense and so real and so something. I say, I hear you, and this has been felt before. And why would I say that? That it becomes some sort of salve or some sort of balm, right? Or some sort of understanding that, my pain's so intense, nobody's ever been through puberty before. Oh, no one's ever been denied before. They come up to me like, Charles, this girl asked me out. That's when you know you're in, by the way, right? When a teenager comes up and they're telling you this, or when they come up to me and say, hey, Charles, I asked this person out. Oh, yeah, what happened? They said no. And there's this like horror, like, oh, now I got to go back to school, right? And I tell them, I know, that's got to be like weird, isn't it? Like you just want to have the earth kind of swallow you up. Yeah, that's the feeling. And I want to tell you something. You're not the first, and you're not going to be the last. You're special and not special all at the same time. Everything that's been felt has already been felt. And in that, there is a community. In that, there's an understanding that I actually can go to my friend. I actually can go to my lover. I actually can go someplace and get compassion and understanding. That I have been felt, that I can actually be felt, that someone can experience empathy with me and compassion. And why is that? Because somehow, in the great design of life, it was designed that way. So that we can have an understanding that we live within alone. But we're not alone. And as alone as I feel sometimes in my journey and how important it is for me to walk through that valley of the shadow of death, as I said a few weeks ago, and many of you have heard, we just don't put up a tent, right? You just keep on walking. You keep walking through the valley. You keep walking through the darkness. And every one of us is going to experience it. But in the midst of it, we're not alone. How hard is it for me and my ego to ask for help when I'm feeling pain, when I'm feeling alone, when I'm feeling like no one's going to understand what I'm going through in this moment? Because I'm convinced of it. You are not going to understand my pain in this moment. And of course, that's not true. It could be my truth, but it's not true because somebody else has felt it. It's why it's so important, and why I say so often, gang, so often, and it's in our community statement, and it's an idea that has to continue to be reiterated and reiterated and reiterated and reiterated, is that we have to go to the well of our being and seek guidance there. We have to meditate and we have to pray. I mean, at some point, I'd really love to do a study of, like a blind study of our community without anything being wrong, or religious science community, or the science of mind community, or the centers for spiritual living, or whatever heaven we want to call it. I don't really care. And do some sort of blind study of, like, how much time do people actually spend in meditation and prayer? And find out. And then see the direct correlation between that and the quality of life and the quality of our livingness. And a direct correlation between that and the times when I'm feeling in pain and feeling incredibly alone, how often I seek a practitioner for prayer. Or how often do I spend days and days and days in it as a victim? Or how often do I pick up Ernest Holmes and read? And whether or not it brings me out of the feeling of loneliness, at least get companionship in the loneliness. Companionship in the challenge. I was up visiting my cousin. I've got twin, well, they're cousins, I guess, but they're his children, and they're twin 1-year-olds, a boy and a girl. So we don't know whether to call me cousin or uncle, so we just call me Kunkle, which is just a weird sounding word, but it's also fun to say. So there's Kunkle Charles, right? And it's like, okay, well, let's just go with uncle, right? I mean, you get to other cultures, and there's, like, brother cousins and things like that. So let's just be family and just call me uncle, all right? So anyway, so I'm up there. He went on a hike. 3 times in my life, I've hiked over the Olympic Mountains in Washington. It's anywhere between 4 and 7 days. And it's pretty, depending on the path you choose, it's intense. I mean, anytime you're going to set out to hike over the mountains, a mountain, what are they called? Range. Something's, it's going to be pretty intense. There's going to be moments of jubilation and all that, and there's going to be moments of where it's really hard. So when we hike, we stay on a path. My cousin went on this hike, and the entire point of it was to be off of the path. All right, so they plot a beginning and an end, and they have a guide, but it's still, my cousin hasn't ever done it before, right? So they go from, this is where we're going to start, and this is where we're going to end, and we don't want to see another human being the entire time, and we don't want to see a path, but we're going to follow the river, generally speaking, right? And so there's times when he was like, I'm like, well, tell me about it, like, give me the whole story, give me the scoop. And he's like, it was beautiful. We were looking up at the top of Mount Olympus, so we can look out and see the entire Pacific, not the entire Pacific Ocean, but see the Pacific Ocean. I know I'm trying to indulge the story here. It was right there. The whole thing, spiritual sight. Oh, man, indulgence. That's so funny. But they can see and it's a long way. They can see from where they were out to the Pacific Ocean, and these moments of beauty and just feeling like at one with nature. And there were times when they were climbing up a mountainside, like from a riverbed, you can kind of imagine it, like from the river that's flowing down in the canyon, and you're having to get to this other place, and you're having to, like, with a 50-pound, 60-pound pack on, climb up, like at more than a 45-degree angle, right? So you're more like this, and you got the weight of the pack pulling you back, and he's describing it very, like, colorfully, and I'm getting it. And he's like, there were times I wanted to go up to the guide, and I just wanted to kill him. He's like, I got 2 kids at home. He's like, there were probably 4 or 5 times where I was sure I was going to die. He's like, if one little slip, and this is not indulgence, he could be indulging, but this is what I'm hearing from him, and knowing those mountains or any mountains, I don't think he was. He's not. One slip, and you're falling 100 feet down on, rocks and this. And he's like, why the hell would this guy guide us here? Why would he guide us to this place? And I'm thinking the whole time, because this is just how I think, how metaphorical, how metaphysical, how much is this consciousness? And so what happened? He survived and he made it and he told me the story about it. But these harrowing moments of being faced with mortality and my family, and what if I don't come home? And he's like, I had these fantasies of when I got home, I'd just throw my pack down and break down and cry in front of my lady and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And those are the times we find out who you are. We find out what you're made of. And those are the times we feel profound loneliness, I would say, in our lives. And from a metaphysical standpoint, it's a time in our lives where we're faced with some sort of internal death. Those times of deep pain when we face ourselves. And it might be a time where we need to let something go. It might be a time where what was now isn't what needs to be. And so we have to die to something. We have to let something go. We have to surrender into something. And so there's a death that comes along with that. And we have to keep walking. We have to keep climbing. We have to keep grinding. We have to go deeper than we've ever been before and find out who we are and understand that that guide may have led me here. And that guide may we call the presence and power of the Spirit. We may call it whatever it is, that universal presence that led me here. But I'm telling you right now, my cousin is a better person because of that experience. And I'm telling you now that each one of us are a more fulfilled, full, experienced, expressed person because of that profound loneliness that we walk through, because we have to understand that we are not alone. Even in the midst of that, we're not alone. And how alive, I told him, I said, how alive did you really feel though, man? Like your mind wasn't anywhere else, was it? He's like, he said, Chuck, that's not permission for you all, by the way. He said, Chuck, how could it be? It couldn't have been anywhere else except right where I was. Because when you're like facing that much adversity, if you want to call it, when you're facing that much pain and loneliness in our own lives, we're present to it. We're actually too present to it. Sometimes we indulge it, the victimhood of it. Oh, poor me. And that's when he wanted to go up and give the old what for to his guide, right? Like, how dare you guide us here? And then we have to remember, oh, I'm here. Now what? What's that? Choose it. That is the year I chose it. I'm here. And we each chose our life, and we're choosing our life. So now what about the you are not alone part? I want to read you something from Ernest Holmes that has everything to do with consciousness, because that's all that we talk about. I'm keenly aware, too, that when we get into stories and we talk about loneliness and things like that, it's so important to come back to this idea of it is done unto you as you believe. Jesus, that it is done unto you as you believe, one of the simplest, most profound teaching that was ever uttered, that was ever conceived of, first and foremost, then that was ever uttered by any human being ever. And no matter where we are in life, no matter what's happening, it is always done to us. It's an immutable, indestructible law. It's something that we can't get out of. And so my cousin could be a victim, right, of being here. How dare you lead us here? Or get busy understanding that he chose it, and get busy understanding that I got to find out who I am right now. I got to get in here. I got to get present, fully present. So this from Ernest Holmes is called, it's in the back of the Science of Mind book. It's called My Vibration Attracts Friends to Me. This whole law of attraction movement and things, that's all of the, you're going to hear it here. This was written in anybody know, 29, 26? Thank you, Walter. I think this is the 1929 version. Anybody knows a good book binder? I need some love. I mean, it's quality work though. Look at that. I mean, it's still there. Oh, my vibration attracts friends to me. 1926, gang, not 2008. The secret. That was a great business idea. It's a tremendous business idea. This, it is done in you as you believe. And this, I am never alone, he says. You are not alone. Jonas Holmes says, I am never alone, never lonely. For I have as companions and friends those people who are drawn to me by the ever active and immutable law of attraction. I desire to be loved. Therefore, I allow myself to love greatly. To feel warmly inclined toward people. To be interested in them and helpful on their behalf. It's such a simple and profound, at the same time, twist for how a lot of people are talking about the world right now. You know, with the fear and the wars and the otherness and the he was mean to me and the this and that, and we're all caught up in it. We're all caught up in it. We've got to practice other ways. To be interested in them and helpful on their behalf. I give as I wish to receive. It is not enough that I profess love to people. Jim, I love you. I must really love people more dearly than I have ever loved before, because all people are my brothers and sisters. You are not alone. I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a minute. I do not outline who shall be my friends and companions. There's no desire to coerce, compel, or suggest to anyone. Please be my friend. It'll be great. The law of attraction brings into contact and relationship with me all those people in whose company I find the greatest profit and enjoyment, and to whom I may give the most. It's just natural. I am happy and radiant, and I enjoy at all times perfect companionship. I trust implicitly the law of attraction to bring into my environment and atmosphere friends and loved ones, and establish for me a community of interest and helpfulness. As I love and cooperate with my fellow people, so does he love me and give his cooperation to me. I am happily in all of my companionships and relationships. I am happy in all of those because they are worked out perfectly by the law. And the law is motivated to work for me by my love for people. My loving thought is the affirmation at the end. My loving thought of others attracts friends to me. So the basic question is, within this idea of you are not alone, is how are you doing? Life created us, and then we happen, and then life happens again. That's the cycle. Life created us in its own image and likeness and out of its substance, and then we are already endowed. We are left alone, as Ernest Holmes said, to find out who we are and realize that we're not alone. We're left alone to discover that. And then we happen to life, and then life happens to us, not the other way around. Life doesn't happen to us, and then we happen to life. First, we are generative. The law of attraction must start someplace. Attraction starts somewhere. So my invitation and our invitation to each other, let it be that we are not alone. Let it be that we're a community, man. We're a community, woman. We're a community. And that we can lean into each other, and that we can profit from each other in the most beautiful and spiritual and extraordinary ways. And that we can be sad together, and we can be happy together, and we can be joyful together, and we can be lost together, and we can be found together. We can be in love together. And sometimes we'll be angry together, but together. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. And even in the midst of those times of profound loneliness, we are not alone. We just have to turn within and ask for the gift, the purpose, the understanding, and pick up the phone and say, I feel so incredibly alone. And just hearing somebody say, you're not. I'm right here. We're going to get breakfast, and then you can sob in your pancakes. And someone can just witness your soggy pancakes. right? You're not alone. Let's pray together this morning. Let's take a deep breath. And just for a moment, if you want, without smacking the person next to you, just extend your arms outward and just kind of open your heart chakras, the heart chakra. Just extend them outward. Don't be grabby. Don't be hitty or anything. Just find your space and extend your arms. Just feel your heart open, your heart chakra, that heart space, that liveliness, that center that is the place from which we love, that spiritual idea of love, that existential idea of love, not necessarily romantic, not sexual necessarily. It all springs from that fundamental presence of love. From there, we speak the word this morning. In an awareness and a consciousness of inclusivity, of being not alone, but being as one. Even as Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and his death was imminent, he knew tomorrow it's going down. In the garden the night before, when he asked, "Can you guys just stay up and pray with me just for a few minutes?" And the disciples couldn't do it. They fell asleep. And he felt, imagine that, Jesus felt so alone. Felt so alone in that moment. His homies couldn't even show up for him in that moment. Just pray with me. Would you just pray? And what did he do? He sought communion with his Father within. He sought strength from his Father within, from the father-mother principle within him. He sought strength. He understood that in the human condition, nothing else could appease his frustration in that moment. Nothing else could manage or appease or handle the walk that he was enduring. So he turned his attention inward to the Father within and realized he was not alone. He's not alone. Strengthened then to deal with what was in front of him. And I'm telling you this morning, I'm telling each one of us, we are not alone. As evidenced by the room that we sit in this morning, as an understanding of where we come from and whose we really are. The spirits. And so as we examine our life just for another moment, just examining it, just looking at it, is there some place where you feel alone? You feel stuck up a tree. You feel like somebody doesn't understand. A work challenge, a business challenge, a financial challenge, a health challenge, a creative challenge. Where life doesn't seem to be working and you feel alone, you feel stuck, and you feel misunderstood or not understood. Or that the world's out to get you and people are against you and victimhood, victim. Where am I believing and keeping that in place? Where am I believing that somehow I'm a victim? Where am I believing in lack in my financial condition? Where am I believing in a lack of idea in my creativity? Where am I believing in some lack of health where I can be restored now? Joining together where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of thee. Raised up and lifted by the power of our own consciousness. Left alone to discover together our divine nature. Hear that again. Left alone to discover together our divine nature. Oh, I'm grateful for what we've got this morning. I'm grateful for how we've shown up. I'm grateful for our community. I'm grateful for this prayer. I'm grateful that our hearts are a little bit more open. And I'm grateful the blessing then that we become within our community of Santa Fe. That as we walk from this room, as we fellowship together after this service, and then walk out the doors of this place, that we, without even saying a word, become a radiation point for healing, for love, for a greater joy. We don't have to flaunt it. We don't have to go make it happen. We don't have to, look at me, I'm joyful. Indeed. Look at me, I'm so loving. But don't upset me, because then I'm mean. Look at me, I'm so this, look at me, so that. No, we just go and live it. Just be it. We allow ourselves to be frustrated when we're frustrated, in love when we're in love, but to radiate an understanding of who and what we really are, the presence and power and love of harmony, the Spirit. Grateful for our fellowship. I call it good, and so it is.